Dublin is my favorite city. Meghan charms Ireland on walkabout with Harry during two-day tour including meeting with the president, and his first dogs. Then it's a dash home to watch the football. Harry and Meghan got a history lesson on some of Ireland's most interesting immigrants today, including a trio of colourful, strong women. On a tour of EPIC, the Irish Emigration Museum, based at Custom House Quay in Dublin's Docklands, they heard the stories of some of the 10 million Irish people who left Ireland over the centuries and their influence around the globe. They included that of 6 feet 4, 17 stone big Rachel Hamilton, who moved to Glasgow to work in the shipyards and became a 4-woman navvy and later a special constable during the British riots of the 1870s. "Oh my goodness," cried Meghan as they were shown an exhibit on her story. After hearing the story of Jenny Hodgers, a woman from Louth who fought as a man for the Union in the American Civil War and worked and voted as a janitor called Albert Cashier in Illinois until the end of her life, Meghan said, "Whoa, that's just an incredible story." They were also told the story of Margaret Bulkley, who went to Edinburgh in 1809 disguised as a man called James Barry to study medicine and later served in the British Army. "There is a real theme here," joked Harry. "The Irish love dressing up." They had arrived at the museum hand in hand, to cheers from the crowds. They were greeted by EPIC's founder and chairman Neville Dell and his wife Pamela. Meghan was given a posing of sweet peas by 7-year-old Maria Dempsey, who wore a blue and white dress by Irish designer Paul Costello. Inside, the royal visitors walked through an exhibit called Leaving the Island, as Mr. Dell pointed out images of the Irish landscape. "This is what we are leaving behind. That's the Giant's Causeway, the green hills." "Wow," responded Meghan. "They don't show the rain," joked their host, to laughter from the couple. In another room they stopped to admire a sculpture called Transportation, created by Ellie McNamara, which shows the vessels on which people left the island of Ireland over 1,500 years, from a representation of a 5th-century carrache, fishing boat, to a Boeing 747. Meghan revealed the couple had been reading up on Irish history ahead of their visit. As Deputy Museum Director Jessica Traynor described how the tall ship the Jeanie Johnston carried thousands of people to a new life in North America in the 19th century, she said, "Oh yes, we were reading about this." The Duke and Duchess then moved through exhibits on the Irish famine and periods of conflict, which were major causes of emigration in Ireland's history. Housed below an old tobacco warehouse, the fully digital, interactive experience looks at the reasons why people left and the opportunities they took up across the globe. It reveals the dramatic and inspiring stories of immigrants who made a mark in the worlds of music, literature, sport, politics, fashion and science. Among the famous names with links to the UK who are honored in the museum are millionaire Philip Tracy, TV star Graham Norton and designer Rory Keeley. Spotting Tracy, Meghan, who has worn several of his creations, said, "He's so much fun. He's amazing and such a character." Americans with Irish ancestry included in the exhibits are Presidents John F. Kennedy and Barack Obama and another U.S. actress turned princess, Grace Kelly. Several key historic occasions in UK Irish history are also marked, including the Queen's state visit to Ireland as well as President Michael D. Higgins' state visit to the UK. In the storytelling gallery the couple stopped to look at an interactive book on Irish Nobel Prize winners and writers. "Wherever we go you will find incredible Irish people doing incredible things all around the world," said the Duke. Finally they pressed send on a virtual postcard instead of a visitor's book. Their message, which was transmitted to a big screen on the wall, read, "Irish people have done so much to shape the world. Thank you for sharing so many moving and inspiring stories." Harry and Meghan. Speaking afterwards, Jessica Traynor said of the royal visitors, "They thought it was a very different type of museum to what they are used to." They remarked a couple of times on how there are Irish links all around the world. They seemed to really enjoy it. She said she had wanted to highlight the fact that Ireland has a lot of strong women in its history. She added, "Really it's about the ways that women could create opportunities for themselves to survive." Founder Neville Dell said, "One of the driving forces behind founding EPIC was to highlight how important immigration is to Ireland's history. I've always believed that the story of Irish people around the world was one worth telling and it's a great privilege to share that with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The Irish have long had a close connection with the United Kingdom, particularly in our diaspora community. On the final leg of their historic visit to Ireland, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex met a group of young computer coders and social entrepreneurs helping to shape the country's future. The royal couple visited Dogpatch Labs, one of Europe's leading startup hubs based in the iconic CHQ building in Dublin's digital Docklands. Having learned about Ireland's history and experienced its rich culture at EPIC, the Irish Emigration Museum, the royal couple's focus moved to meeting some of the innovative people who are shaping the country's future, including members of Coder Dojo, the global coding movement for young people. There they spent time with schoolchildren from across Ireland who take part in workshops run by Coder Dojo, a global movement of free, volunteer-led, community-based programming clubs for young people. Anyone aged 7 to 17 can attend a dojo for free where they can learn how to code and create with technology. Now, in its 7th year, there are more than 1,900 clubs in 93 countries reaching more than 50,000 young people on a regular basis. Harry and Meghan met 11-year-old Peter Reid, who told them how he is working on a project to develop a smart fridge which will be able to alert you when you are running low on groceries. He said, "It was so cool to meet the Duke and Duchess and we all really loved it that they came all the way to Ireland. I told them about my project and Prince Harry said it was amazing." Meghan spoke to Aisling Cal-App, 13, about her website she designed and coded called Girls Do Code, for which she won the Best Female-Led Prize at Coolest Projects International in May. Aisling said, "The Duchess said it was really special that I was showing her my website. Harry said my project was cool and that it would help other girls get into coding just like me." During a meeting with a cross-section of social leaders, the Duke and Duchess discussed the importance of empowering women from diverse backgrounds with the skills to get involved in the tech industry. In a moment of bashful self-deprecation, Harry said, "These children are so impressive, I can't even work an Excel spreadsheet." Professor Brian McCraith, the president of Dublin City University, said, "Both the Duke and Duchess were incredibly passionate about what the future of young people and also giving opportunities to people from diverse backgrounds the tools to succeed. Prince Harry was very funny and I think in total awe of the children he met today." He said, "These young people are so impressive, it's inspiring what they are doing here." Just before leaving Dogpatch Labs, an impressive tech hub opened 3 years ago and renovated a wine and tobacco warehouse. Harry and Meghan were treated to a tech display by the children from Coder Dojo. After spending the morning setting up a coding program to work a set of lights spelling out Coder Dojo, the children counted down from 5 and turned on the lights to rapturous applause from the royals and the volunteers at the centers. Constructed by the pioneering work of architect John Rennie, it has since been restored many times. Gustina Mitsoni, the executive director of Coder Dojo, said, "Both their Royal Highnesses were amazingly attentive when listening to what the children are working on and both really believe in education as a way of empowering everyone. One of the children here today lives in rural Mayo and doesn't have internet but has taught herself to code by coming to the workshops, and both the Duke and Duchess found that very impressive. It was a delight welcoming them here today and I am certain it will have had a profound effect on all the children." Before they left, Prince Harry brushed off a suggestion that he should follow in the footsteps of a well-wisher in Ireland, and have 5 children with wife Meghan Markle. Elaine Adams Stewart, 43, told him, "My husband also has red hair and he gave me 5 children. When are you and Meghan going to get going?" Harry saw the funny side. He laughed and said, "5 children? Too many." Elaine's husband Simon Stewart, who runs an IT consultancy, was not in the crowd outside the EPIC Museum of Irish Emigration but the English-born homemaker and her 5 kids, Nathan, 10, Adelaide, 8, Malachy, 7, Siwan, 5, and Portia, 22 months, were, along with an England flag as they back the team for tonight's big World Cup match. Further along the barrier, the couple passed tiny baby Maya Piara, 6 months, who was being held by mom Andrea, 36. She was being a bit upset in the crowd and Meghan said, "Somebody wants to go home." Harry said, "Don't drop her." 2 fans got to take some iPhone pictures up close. "We said congratulations on their wedding and Meghan said thank you," says Heather Novell, 25, who was there with pal Carol Mannion. "I think they're a breath of fresh air. They are something new and here's a lot of hope in them. They're very relatable." Nichelle, who is home in Dublin for the summer from Belfast where she is studying for an MA in Violence, Terrorism and Security, adds, "Meghan's done a lot of work like being a goodwill ambassador and things like that. She's a great role model for girls." Harry and Meghan's second day in Dublin began with a visit to the official residence of President Michael D. Higgins where they bonded over their shared love of rescued pets. Looking typically elegant in black velvet court shoes, a £3,850 Fendi handbag and a taupe green dress by designer Roland Mouret, Meghan beamed as she met the president, his wife and their Bernese mountain dogs. Meanwhile, cheeky 4-year-old Dylan Maughan decided there was only one way to welcome British royalty to Dublin, by pulling Harry's beard. Walter Cullen was gently reprimanded by Harry who wagged his finger in comic disapproval, as the 3-year-old tugged Meghan's hair while she looked the other way. The playful exchanges at the historic Croke Park Stadium came ahead of a walkabout at Trinity College, where Meghan told one fan that Dublin was her favorite city. As they prepare to watch the World Cup semi-final back at Kensington Palace tonight, the Duke asked fans whether they would be cheering for England, telling them, "It's definitely coming home." In the afternoon, the couple were in a somber and reflective mood as they paid a trip to the Famine Memorial at Dublin's Docklands, which commemorates the Great Famine of the mid-19th century. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex were left profoundly and powerfully moved after viewing the haunting memorial to the 2 million men, women and children affected by the Great Famine in Dublin. Situated on the banks of the River Liffey, the stunning composition is of a group of emaciated life-size human figures walking towards what would have been the emigration ships on Dublin's quayside. The couple walked around the frighteningly realistic bronze statues with their sculptor, Rowan Gillespie, and Mike Murphy, editor of the Famine Atlas, who talked them through some of the stark realities of the tragedy for the people of his country. Mr. Murphy said afterwards that the couple clearly had some understanding of the famine and what it meant to the people of Ireland but had been genuinely shocked at what they learned. In fairness, they definitely had a background understanding but were shocked to hear the nitty-gritty, he said. Harry mentioned several times at how appalling it was that we don't seem to have learned the lessons of the past and we are still seeing famine and food shortages around the world today. Sculptor Mr. Gillespie added, "This is a living monument," and they were genuinely and powerfully moved by what they saw. They were very conscious that this isn't just about history, that this thing is still going on around us today and it's relevant to what we do today. Every individual is moved by what they see, which is incredibly rewarding. It is an incredibly important story between Britain and Ireland. They were profoundly moved to see the memorial and hear the story behind it. It is part of our joint histories. Meghan was very strong on the link with the city of Toronto where she lived and Harry spent a lot of time. The city only had 18,000 inhabitants, but as those ships came across in their droves, Toronto took in 38,000 disease-ridden, starving famine victims. In the Stadium Museum the couple saw replica jerseys used in the film Michael Collins, which depicted the shooting, as well as the whistle used by the referee that day and a match ticket. They also saw club records featuring Collins, a key figure in the Irish independence movement, from when he was secretary of the Geraldine's Gat Club in London between 1909 and 1915. It was the IRA operation led by Collins to kill 14 undercover British intelligence agents operating in Dublin, known as the Cairo Gang, that led to the security forces opening fire on the crowd at Croke Park. Out on the pitch they watched as groups of boys and girls played hurling, camogie, the women's equivalent, Gaelic football and fun and run, a rounders-like game designed to be inclusive for people with disabilities. As the couple met Joe Canning, the Galway player who is regarded as one of the modern greats of hurling and is a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador for Ireland, Harry told him, "Apparently you're like a god." Harry also met a red-headed boy in wheelchair, Nathan Keeley, 7, and told him how impressed he was with his freckles. Jennifer Lawless, 22, an intern from North Carolina, said, he said, "You have more freckles than I have." Lovely freckles. Although the couple were both given hurleys, the curved stick used to hit the ball, or sliotar, in hurling, the Duke passed up on the opportunity of having a go himself. It is, however, very difficult. Even Joe Canning missed his first shot at goal when he was showing the couple how it was done by the experts. "The first one was a disaster," he said. "I had to redeem myself with the second one." He added about the Duke not having a go, He didn't want to do it. I was thinking he might, but he will stick to the soccer later on, I think." As the couple walked round the hallowed turf, Meghan in her high heels, one onlooker said, "I would guess that is the first time a pair of stilettos has been seen on the pitch." Chatting to youngsters from the hurling pitch, Harry picked up the hurley and said, "That's really light, isn't it?" Picking up a goalie's helmet, Harry asked Tom Woolley, 9, if he had ever been hit in the face by a ball. When he answered no, the Duke asked him, "Have you hit a ball into someone else's face?" "Not yet. Working on it." Meghan was very well informed about this link and Harry knew a great deal too. They were very conscious of this. While the couple were viewing the memorial there, a handful of catcalls from across the river. One man and a woman could be heard shouting Sinn Féin slogans and another lone man shouted a crude remark at the Duchess. Neither appeared to have heard it, however, said Mr. Gillespie. The pair also met excitable fans, one of whom said Meghan had made her life. Dylan Maughan, who is from Grange Rath, Comeath, is a member of St Colmcille's Gaelic Athletic Association club who met Harry at Croke Park. Afterwards Harry told him, "You might have a beard soon, you never know." The visit to Croke Park was a chance for the couple to see children being coached in traditional Irish games. But it was also an opportunity for the Duke and Duchess, who were on the second day of their tour of Ireland, to see mementos of one of the most notorious days in Anglo-Irish history. On November 21, 1920, British forces opened fire at a Gaelic football match between Tipperary and Dublin, killing 14 spectators and players including the Tipperary captain Michael Hogan. The day, which became known as the original Bloody Sunday, has become enshrined in Irish folklore. But while the atrocity has lost none of its capacity to appall, a historic gesture of peace and forgiveness was made in 2011 when the Queen became the first monarch to be welcomed at Croke Park since the shooting. Now it is firmly on the itinerary for visiting members of the royal family. The couple also spoke to Ciarán Harkin, 16, from Galway, and Sarah Kenny, 17, from Kildare, both youth leaders. Sarah said, "She was saying how important it was to stay in your community and bring on younger children." However, they were both most impressed at the way Harry refused to move when an official tried moving the Duke onto the next group waiting to meet him. Sarah said, "When he was being rushed, he said no, 2 more minutes." Ciarán said, "He was very genuine and real." The informality of the event was emphasized when the Tinist, or Deputy Prime Minister, Simon Coveney stepped in to take a picture on a parent's phone of Harry and Meghan posing with a young man in a wheelchair. Colin Regan, the Gaz Community and Health Manager, said, "Meghan was particularly interested in the fact that there were boys and girls playing sports together. She said she had not seen that before, really." She was also struck by Sarah Craig, who plays wheelchair hurling with the Connacht provincial team. Mr. Regan said, "She said, 'Good on you, Sarah.'" She asked if it was a physical game. She said it was. She liked that Sarah was mixing it with the lads. She thought that was very empowering.